Privet, dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, ciao, bonjour, hola, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. Not quite so cold today, but still not as warm as you'd expect for spring. Last day of March 2022. Wow, April, just around the corner. The perfect month to sell your house. We love the springtime and we love April. April's great because the weather changes for the better and it's one of the peak months of the year when people decide to sell their homes. So if you're thinking of selling, it's a great time to do so. Tomorrow we're working on the podcast the biggest mistake that vendors make when selling their properties. We're going to give you the top list of what people do wrong and that it ends up costing them money. Real pounds, shillings, and pence, as it were. We find quite often there are several mistakes that are just no-nos, and we're going to be running through those in the podcast. So how are you today? I hope you're well. If this is your first time here, then thanks for joining me. I'm Ken. It's 10. That's why it's Ken at 10. We're James Alexander Estate Agents. We broadcast every day in the morning at 10 o'clock to let you know what's going on here in the coalface at the estate agent's office in James Alexander. We're based in Streatham, between Streatham and Croydon, in an area called Norbury, which is a bit of a thoroughfare, really, which is why I always mention it. No one really knows where we are because we're quite a small little area, but lovely, really lovely people, nice place to be. If you're thinking of investment, maybe a first-time buy to let, it's perfect for all those things. Talk to me. Give us a call anytime, really. We're always in the office 9 till 6 every day and Saturdays as well, of course. And apart from that, as far as the market's concerned, still busy, still a lot of confidence around. Do I think this confidence will last throughout the year? It's very hard to say, isn't it? With so much going on, both positive and negative. On the positive side, we've got lots of market activity, lots of confidence around London opening up. On the negative side, it seems COVID seems to have made a bit of a comeback, although people aren't getting ill with it. So maybe that's okay. I don't know. We'll see, won't we? Interest rates, on the other hand, going up. Bad news for those of us getting a mortgage for the first time, especially. Although, interestingly, first-time buyer mortgages are still at the same rates as they were virtually before the latest increase in interest rates, which is strange because rates for second-timers have increased a bit more. But that's good news because we need the first-time buyers at the bottom of the market to drive the whole of the market through. Because, yes, there are cash buyers, but the reality is for most of us, there's a chain. And it starts with a first-time buyer. So if they can't buy, they can't get in, they don't have confidence or finance, then the whole thing can be a bit of a non-starter. In terms of what people are looking for, it seems the average family home is what people are after these days. They want a garden, really important. They love outdoor space, the better your garden. So make sure you're showing your garden at its very best, especially this time of year. Don't underestimate the importance of the appeal from the front. This is the first thing people will see when they look at your home. So most importantly, make that front door shine, maybe get some plants outside, certainly make sure it has a maximum curb appeal, because remember, when hovering over Rightmove or Zoopla, wherever they're looking, the first thing they're going to see is that picture of the outside of your house. So make sure, if you're marketing, that it's presented absolutely tip-top. Make sure a professional takes that shot and make sure it's the best it possibly could be, preferably with a blue sky behind it as well. Aside from that, busy day on valuations today, which is nice to see. Lots of valuations coming on in both Thornton Heath, Norbury and Streatham, and it's always great to have those. You know, it's a great privilege to be involved in one of the most exciting times of people's lives. It's not always exciting. Sometimes it's really sad, but certainly one of the biggest points in people's lives. Sometimes it's through bereavement. Sometimes it's through schools. You know, it's lovely when you get people that say, yeah, my child's just got into a fantastic school and we're moving for that reason. Sometimes it's more sad. Sometimes it's about changing lifestyles, you know, people moving because of jobs, relocating, maybe going to another country. Quite often when people go to another country, they decide to rent out their property, which is always our advice, actually. If you're thinking, should I rent or should I sell? It's always a good idea if you're moving to another country to let out your house while you see what's going on. In other words, you know, you might find that the other country looks great on the face of it, but when you actually get there, it doesn't feel quite as nice as you expected. At least if you've still got your family home that you still own back home, then it's a bolt hole. You know, you can serve notice and you can come back. And of course, that brings another problem for tenants. There's always going to be that situation for those that rent properties that the landlords can serve notice on you pretty much at any time, really. Certainly outside of the first 6 months, in most agreements, there are break clauses, which mean a landlord can serve a 2-month notice on you at any time, which is, you know, it is a frustration, and it is certainly a pinch point of the rental market, because many people do worry that they don't have that continuity that you would have if you own, and that's a frustration, which is why, one of the reasons why buying's a good idea if you can afford to do so. There are many others, and we'll discuss that another day. But in terms of the market generally, still strong. Will it weaken second half of the year? My suspicion is yes. I think it will for several reasons. One, interest rates. Number two, I think there's going to be a lack of supply. Lots of people are starting to hesitate as to whether it's a good time to get on the market and sell. We're encouraging people to do so because we think now is the best window of opportunity for you to sell your house and successfully find another one, because the two things go hand in hand, don't they? It's all very well selling, but if you can't find, then what's the point, right? So a really good time to get involved with the market now. Early spring's terrific, and I'll tell you why it's terrific. If you sell in the early spring, there's still plenty of time as the other instructions start to fall into place and come onto market. You're already under offer, hopefully early, and therefore you can negotiate hard on the one that you're buying. And that's something we do for our clients, our vendor clients, all the time. We also find properties for people. So if you're looking for a property and you want to retain us to do that, we can do that for you and charge you, of course. But if you're selling through us, it's something we do for free for our clients to make sure we give them an opinion on what they're looking at, perhaps even negotiate the asking price for them, certainly give them an opinion on whether the price that they're looking to pay is fair and reasonable in the area they're looking, because we have many tools, analysis tools that we can use professionally in order to make sure that they're getting the best possible tool price. And those tools are very, very good, but ultimately it comes down to negotiation. And negotiation, like anything else, is a skill, and it's not an easy skill to get. And therefore, agents are best placed to do it if they're good. If they're good, they should be able to drill down and get you the best possible price on the one you're buying, as well as make sure they defend and get you the best possible price for the one you're selling. That's what good agency is, making sure that your clients are looked after. And it's the gap, isn't it? It's not what you're selling for, because if you sell for £100, you can buy for £100 elsewhere what you want, then actually it doesn't matter that it's not hundreds of thousands of pounds. It might be 500,000, 500,000. Well, what if it's 400 in both? Well, if you're not getting a mortgage, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that the gap between the two prices that you're buying and selling for is minimized. So if you're selling at 400 to buy at 500, then perhaps that gap could be minimized if you could squeeze that a little bit more out of the purchase price, maybe squeeze it up to 420, and then maybe squeeze down the one you're buying from 500 to 490. We're minimizing that gap and therefore minimizing the expense of you moving. And that's what good agency is all about, folks. Getting in there and making sure the best possible deal is got by your agents, your vendor clients. That's what we're here for. We do our very best to make sure your price is the best it possibly can be. In terms of the market generally going forward, this week's looking really busy for rental move-ins, but we just don't have the stock. So if you think of buy-to-let as a possible opportunity right now, you may be surprised. The rental yields are definitely going up, and this will certainly help you when you're looking at properties and thinking, you know, does this represent a reasonable yield? I think when you're looking at buy-to-let, certainly initially, you should be looking for a minimal yield initially so that it just ticks over, you know, what we call wipes its face. In other words, question, can I pay my mortgage, have a little bit in reserve for maintenance and repairs, pay any managing agent's fees, and still come out breaking even? And if you can, then you're doing nothing and earning money. There aren't many things in your life that you can do that with, are there? And that's the beauty of buy-to-let. If you can do nothing and earn money, you know, it doesn't matter if you're the top engineer in the world and your rate is, you know, £10,000 an hour. There's still only 12 hours a day you can work before you're exhausted. Whereas with property, if you get it right and you get the numbers right, you can do this again and again because the level of input is minimal. It's a passive income, and that's a fantastic thing about buy-to-let investment. So if you're thinking of doing that, it's something we specialize in. We have hundreds of landlords, and certainly we can help you with that, guide you through the maze that it's become these days. Legally, it can be a bit of a minefield, but with the right advice, you can do this, folks, even if you've never done it before. Give it a try. Give us a call. Let's have a chat through, see what your options are. Thanks very much for watching today. Hope you're having a great day. Look after yourselves, and if you can, your family and friends. We'll be back same time tomorrow with another edition. Till then, ciao.